David Cameron has apologised to thousands of NHS patients who were infected with hepatitis C and HIV by contaminated blood supplies in the 1970s and 80s. He also promised that an extra £25 million would be spent on helping the victims. A public inquiry in Scotland said the impact on patients and their families had been devastating, but it found that little could have been done differently. Some relatives are threatening legal action against the government. More details from our health correspondent, Jane Draper.
The Prime Minister referred to the pain, suffering and feelings of unfairness experienced by patients who were infected as a result of NHS treatment. Lord Penrose's inquiry has concluded there was a 10-month delay before screening began to check blood products for hepatitis C in 1991. But the report says the actions in Scotland to protect the blood supply and screen it for HIV held up well in comparison to countries around the world, and it describes how both viruses were relatively new. The families of those who died and victims who became infected are still campaigning for a better system of support. After the conclusions were read out in Edinburgh, there were heckles and angry shouts of whitewash.
The contaminated blood scandal has been described as the worst treatment disaster in the history of the NHS. Thousands of people across Britain were infected with hepatitis C and HIV through NHS blood products in the 1970s and 80s. But an inquiry into Scottish victims out today concluded that few matters could have been done differently. And the Penrose Inquiry made only a single recommendation.
The inquiry recommends that the Scottish Government takes all reasonable steps to offer a hepatitis C test to everyone in Scotland who had a blood transfusion before September 1991 and who has not been tested for hepatitis C.
At Prime Minister's Questions today, David Cameron made this apology.
To each and every one of those people, I would like to say sorry on behalf of the government for something that should not have happened. No amount of money can ever fully make up for what did happen, but it's vital we move as soon as possible to improve the way that payments are made to those infected by this blood. I can confirm today the government will provide up to £25 million in 2015-16 to support any transitional arrangements to a better payment system. And I commit that if I'm Prime Minister in May, we will respond to the findings of this report as a matter of priority.
There was an angry response to the report from victims and relatives who'd gathered at the National Museum in Edinburgh to see its publication after a 6-year wait, with shouts of whitewash after its conclusions were read out. Joseph Peaty is co-chair of Tainted Blood. That's a campaign group of survivors from around the UK. He himself was diagnosed with severe haemophilia as a baby. As a result of that NHS treatment, he ended up being infected with both HIV and hepatitis C, which must have been I can't even imagine what that must have been like for you. Hello, Joseph, can you hear me all right?
Oh, hello there, yes.
Oh, hello, Joseph. Yes, I was just telling our listeners about your own experiences.
Yes, I mean, absolutely distressing and, life-destroying, soul-destroying to have found out that I was infected. It completely changed the whole face of my life, the prospects, and my ability to have family, career, to know what to do with myself, because there were so many people dying initially that I was really marking time, expecting to be next.
And so you've been waiting a long time to hear the results of this inquiry. What did you think about the report?
Oh, I mean, on the face value, this suggestion that it was a whitewash, it looks to be, it's very confusing, because we heard from the Penrose team, I'm sorry, we've got a lorry going right by us at the moment. The Penrose team themselves, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Right. The Penrose team themselves have acknowledged no wrongdoing, no alternative actions that could have been taken by government or the doctors. They found nothing really to support any of the allegations and the issues that we've talked about for so long. And after 6 years and £12 million, for there not to be a list of conclusions and recommendations out of this report, it is just it's astonishing, frankly.
So what did you make of what David Cameron and Ed Miliband had to say?
Well, okay, of course, I have to say it was very heartening to hear David Cameron's apology, and we welcome that. and yes, also to have heard Ed Miliband's commitment to sorting this out. I acknowledge that it's only an interim arrangement. There's £25 million that has been made available today. And frankly, if it was that alone, I would be absolutely horrified, because the types of payments that are going to be required to address this are going to be substantially more than that. One thing that wasn't apologised for today, though, that I think possibly should have been, is the lack of an early public inquiry by the Westminster government when people that could have contributed more fully were still alive, when doctors with this fresh in their mind could have contributed more, and we could have got a better picture for what actually happened.
Joseph Peaty, thank you.